Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Tonight's film is 1984's Zombie Island Massacre. Now, the version I have here has 3 films on it, so this cover has 3 separate films, Blades and Bloodhook, also distributed by Troma, but I'll try to get the kind of the poster art for the film into the camera here without a reflection. There we go, right there. You can see it, Zombie Island Massacre. And this is from 1984 and distributed by Troma Entertainment. And I picked this up a while ago, kind of a crazy cover there. They have 3 movies on 1 DVD, and surprisingly, the quality is pretty darn good. This is out of print. You might be able to get this film on its own single DVD release or definitely VHS release. But Zombie Island Massacre, that's what we're looking at tonight, 1984. You know, in the summer or wherever you are, if it's hot, it's always great to watch. I always love watching, a lot of the films like the sexploitation films, and they always seem to be in hot climates. And horror also has its share of hot climates, typically cannibal films, typically island films, touristy type of films where things go bad, beach films, and of course, you always have those infamous films like Jaws and but this film here is really kind of unknown. I don't hear anybody talking about it, and it's a really interesting film because for a lot of reasons. But one of them is essentially we have a group of people, tourists, who are taking they're on vacation and they decide to get a boat kind of get a not a boat ride, a van ride to a more remote island on their vacation, away from kind of the touristy areas, and to kind of experience this interesting remote island for a few nights. And what happens there are some dark things, some twists, some turns, some death, some murderous intent, and just some interesting things I don't want to give away too much. This is Zombie Island Massacre. Okay, 1984, we're going to start off with the music for this film. Very, very interesting because the person who did the music for this film is the person who did the music for the infamous most of the Friday the 13th franchise, and also another film that I reviewed on this page called The Children, Harry Manfredini. Harry Manfredini. Now, in The Children, if you saw that review that I did, the music was like almost exactly Friday the 13th. In this one, it really sounds like Friday the 13th also, except for a few cues, a few changes here and there, a few things kind of getting mixed and matched. But it seems like Manfredini is really using Friday's score slightly altered at times, and really using kind of like the Friday the 13th stings when there's deaths and shocks and things happening abruptly on the screen, just like similar to the way Friday the 13th uses them. So the music in here is that. We also have about 1 or 2 songs in the film. You'll hear it in the closing credits also, and I believe near the beginning of the film also. Kind of, just some 80s type of music with lyrics, and the lyrics are kind of interesting also. And, good stuff. If you like late 70s, early 80s, kind of pop rock song type mixes in there, and I don't recall, but I think it had a little bit of maybe like a late 70s vibe in there, possibly with some funk and stuff. And it's just the lyrics are kind of amusing and things like that. But it's yeah, some good music, and I love it. So that is the music in there. I mean, really interesting, and Manfredini stuff is all throughout, and you also have areas of silence also. This particular film, obviously from the title you'd say, okay, this is a straight horror film, and you'd be right. We do have some gruesome deaths in this film. The special effects are actually pretty good. We have some decapitations, and we have violence in here, not on par with movies like in the cannibal genre, especially with the Italians, not like that, but still a violent, gruesome movie. And at the same time, there are some twists and turns in this film that slightly move it out of the horror genre and maybe a little bit into the exploitation genre, or maybe even a little bit into another genre that I don't really want to say because it's going to kind of give away some things. But yeah, there's like some pretty major twists and turns that happen storyline wise. Like you feel like you kind of got the movie figured out. You're enjoying it, but you feel like you kind of have it figured out until like all of a sudden there's like 20 minutes left or 15 minutes left, and things start to get redefined. Even characters start to get redefined. So the movie mixes genres and actually does something extremely unique in the zombie, cannibal, island, hot Caribbean genre, okay? You know, with like films like Eaten Alive, not by Tobe Hooper, the Italian cannibal film, you know, Cannibal Ferox, Cannibal Holocaust, even you know, there's tons, and I'm blanking right now, but this is a really unique one in regards. Now, Eaten Alive was unique too because it mixed in kind of the cult leader type vibe in there, but this one is unique in its own way also. Now, I wanted to talk about this film in that, you know, I mean, it's a very unknown film, and you also know that it's presumably a pretty low budget film. But I was seriously impressed. I was impressed with the pacing and the cinematic entertainment of this film and the characters of this film and the way things unfolded. I was impressed with, man, you know, the first like 30 minutes, I was just wrapped up in it. It really had vibes in here. Things that was reminding me of like, you know, obviously tourists going away to an unknown area. They're completely vulnerable. They don't know where they are, and their vulnerability and also their claustrophobia because they can't get away from the particular situation they're in. It also had vibes of, to me, like Romero's Night of the Living Dead at times, in terms of the group of people working together. There was even one black guy in the film also. And it was a very interesting dynamic. This is a film of characters also. I really felt like, you know, you're working with a pretty large group of people who are on this bus and that are going to be with you on this island. You know, people are going to be dying, of course. But you're working with a pretty large group of people and a pretty large group of personalities and relationships. And I was feeling the suspense. I was feeling the tension. I was feeling the claustrophobia. I was feeling kind of, you know, the horror of the situation. I was really pulled into this movie. You know, when I pushed play, I didn't really know what to expect. But within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes, you know, you had the opening credit sequence, everything. I was really getting pulled into this film where I felt like, wow, I know this film's a low-budget movie, but it does not feel that low budget. Cinematically, it felt like they were really working with something. And seriously, not campy. This is not a campy film. I mean, you look at the cover and you might think there's a campy element to this film and that, you know, Troma released it. But it's not a campy film. I thought it was done very, very seriously. And it's a film that, you know, even the beginning of the film is kind of entertainingly, like, you know, pulls you in kind of in a cool horror-like fashion, and kind of, you know, gives you you know, it's kind of gives you a little piece of things to come also at the beginning of the movie. It's done very well, and I cared about the situations. I felt what the characters were feeling. This movie also really knew how to develop interesting, horrific situations with tourism. You know, you think of films like Hostel, okay? You think, like I said, there was even a modern film called Turistas that did not get a lot of, you know, popularity. It was out in theaters and mainstream cinema and stuff about maybe 8 years ago. You know, these types of films of tourists going to a foreign land and, you know, meeting horror there. This movie really had some cool tension, suspense, and horror and darkness that was making me feel like I didn't exactly know what was going to happen. We also have a variety of characters here, and they even kind of sucker punch you with which characters survive and which ones do not. And you're probably going to have a favorite character in this film as well, where you're going to cling to somebody, and you might get your feet kicked out under you there. But there's also a level of sexuality in this film also that you'll see from the get-go in the beginning, and it's really regulated to one character, one woman in particular, who you will see her breasts. You also see, I think, you'll note that she's totally nude, but it's mostly her breasts that you're seeing, kind of like almost a sex scene with her boyfriend. Also, now she's an older woman, and has a lot of, to me, I mean, with her breasts and everything else, had a lot of sexual attraction vibes about her, especially in that, first 10 minutes of the film and 15 minutes of the film. And so she really provided that sexuality to the film also, really regulated to her one character. You're going to hear screams in this film, not sexually. You're going to hear screams in this film. You're going to hear a lot of... you're going to feel bad for some of the characters. You're going to feel bad for the situations that they're in, and there's going to be some rough spots and some interesting spots also, and some things that I thought I wasn't quite aware of what was going to happen next. And there's even, there's also some great jungle animals in this movie. We have a snake, we have a bat. That are alive, okay? And there's also a pretty, I thought, darkly disturbing kind of ritual sequence in the film, where it would offend some people, but it didn't seem quote-unquote real, if you catch my drift, in a Cannibal Holocaust type of way, but still well done. This film is really under the radar. Nobody really knows about it, and low-budget movie. I thought the special effects were definitely, they were well done. And the atmosphere, the location, I mean, the palm trees, it really looks like the jungle. I don't know where the hell they are. I mean, it really looks like they're on a remote island somewhere. And the characters, the story, the tension you're going to meet. How do you meet a new character? How do you meet a new character when there's only 15 minutes left of the film? Well, this film will do that for you. This is Zombie Island Massacre. And this is from 1984, and it's distributed by Troma. I don't know if it was distributed by somebody else before that on home video, but I think it's mostly only Troma. And this is the poster once again. I do not believe that woman is in the film, but you do see things from the film all around it there, and the characters from the film. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarre YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like Zombie Island Massacre. Please feel free to check out all my other reviews on my YouTube page: exploitation, sexploitation, erotica, adult, weird, surreal, bizarre, and, like this, horror. Thank you so much, and please feel free to check out my own personal films at youtube.com/poopydiarrhea. Thank you, and good night.